Have you ever watched people try to impress each other? Name dropping, bragging, dressing to impress. It happened in the ancient world too, and Jesus, sitting watching a dinner party, explained how his followers should be different. God calls his people to be different, but being different is not as easy as it sounds. Christians have long understood that we live and walk along a delicate line. We are to be in the world, all things to all people, as Paul put it, yet not of the world. We are a chosen people, holy and set apart from the world's ways, but to pull it off, to be truly different, means we must each hold fast to the truth, speaking it when needed, all while humbling ourselves and faithfully serving others. It's not always easy, but being different is our calling. Luke records Jesus attending a dinner with many prominent and important religious leaders. As Jesus sat and watched each person take their seat, he noticed something true of his day and our own. Jesus noticed how each person tried to sit in the most prominent and honorable seat. In Jesus' time, these formal dinners often had a seating structure that acknowledged who was most important to the host or event. Those who sat closest to the head of the table would be recognized as more prominent. As Jesus observed this dinner crowd, each one was trying to maneuver into the most recognized position. Jesus saw the absurdity of it all. He pointed out, what happens if you get that most important seat and someone more important comes in? Won't the host ask you to move? Wouldn't that embarrassment be worse than a lesser seat? Perhaps, Jesus pointed out, you should sit in the worst seat so that the host will move you up. Then you could be publicly acknowledged as more important. It might seem like Jesus was hacking the system to get attention, but he was using their game to make a bigger point, to point out the game they were all playing. He pushed them further. He turned to the host, the one who had invited all these attention-hungry guests, and Jesus explained, "Don't invite your friends, brothers, relatives, and rich neighbors, for they will invite you back, and that will be your only reward. Instead, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. Then at the resurrection of the righteous, God will reward you for inviting those who could not repay you." Jesus saw things differently. He challenged the way people played the whole game. He challenged what they cared about and how they measured success. It's not hard to recognize how we do the same. We want to be important. We want recognition, and we angle and scheme to move up the social ladder. We want to know important people. We want access to important events. We may give to those in need, but the recognition for our generosity sure feels good too. The world teaches us to pay attention to these things, to work for our own recognition, to improve our position or better our own experience. But Jesus' call for humility, for giving up our attempts to be first, is a radically different way to live. It means living with an eternal perspective, serving those who can never repay us. It means abandoning the way the world keeps score and living in the values of God's kingdom. The first will be last, and the last will be first. What are the ways you're seeking to be first? How have you adopted the ways of this world? How are you playing the world's game of recognition, honor, and prominence? What would it look like to be truly different? What would it look like to humble yourself and abandon the world's game altogether? How could you be different? How could you humble yourself?